Boys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today I got a killer video on deck. I really want to break down my 3 non-negotiables to building my dream aesthetic physique. As you guys can see right here, we've unlocked a killer physique, little V taper action. Awesome, having that back kind of pop out. And then going from someone who, again, really started from the ground bottom, typical skinny guy, as everyone knows on the channel, flat chest, narrow shoulders, to honestly have zero frame, to building a V taper, framing the body you always wanted, and of course having a training framework that kind of gives you the ability to not only have it, but to sustain these results. And I want to break down exactly how I was able to do this with 3 essential frameworks. As you guys can see here, we're going to be breaking this down to 3 core essentials: framing our body first, developing that V taper engine, and then their structured training split. Everything we need to not only fast track the results, but to really get the frame we need just to help make sure we structure our body, and then we can start packing on more lean muscle, because our frame is the most important thing in our body. And if our frame is not built the right way, then everything's not going to look, of course, not even symmetrical, aesthetic, forget about that. It's just going to be built on wrong foundations, which is then going to lead to a shitty frame, which is then going to lead to, essentially everything crumble down in the future. Our frame is the way we go about everything. If we can build a strong frame and make sure we have everything we need, then we can stack on lean muscle, then we can pack on growth, and then we can make sure we know the essential skill sets and the information we're doing is worth it. So guys, I got an awesome video, super pumped, and I want to get right into it, not waste any time. I really broke this down to essentially these 3 pillars, but then I really broke it down to excruciating detail so you guys can know exactly how to walk away with this with actionable information. So first, let's get right into it. So as everyone wants to know, the most important thing I think in building an aesthetic physique is really getting that V taper, where you have a wide back, wide shoulders, and then a narrow waist, as you guys can see right here. And this is something that I've always dreamed about getting. I just literally didn't know how to do it, because I've tried a bro split. I've tried eating, as many calories as possible. I tried training like a gym rat, training 4 hours a day, all this different stuff that literally yielded limited results. But what I had to understand was that I needed a structure that would frame my body to give me the ability to start packing on results once this was done. And this is exactly what I needed to hear, and I hope I can break this down as simplistic as possible for you boys so you know exactly what to do. Is first, we have to talk about actually framing the body. Not just training to train, but actually framing it in the right structure. So there's 2 key essentials I really broke this down was, of course, is building a broad shoulders and then having that upper chest. As you guys can see, that's going to give us the ability to really stick out not only our top of our back, but to build that V. And I broke this down to essential 3 core topics that we're going to get into a little more detail and really give you a better understanding of how to go about this, which of course is developing the shoulders early on in your journey, or if your journey's already started, to really double down on this. It's probably one of the most important parts of your body, to frame your body. The key movements and then frequency hack we're going to talk about. So this is really going to break down the overall frame, and then we're going to actually jump into building the V taper engine. And this is primarily going to target, the back thickness and the taper. So you really get, that V coming in. And as you guys can also see up here, you really want the wings to pop out. And this is something I've really been working on a lot. So I want to guys walk you through exactly what I've been doing that's really helped me, really stack results from, again, just not having much to start with. So I'm really excited to break down that V taper, because I feel like everyone wants it. Who doesn't want it? It's aesthetic. You look sick. I mean, it's the way to go. And of course, you want that back popping out. So we're going to talk about wide and the thick formula to build this back so we can have the definition to really get it out like a Dorito. Shoulder to waist illusion. Of course, as everyone knows, if you don't have a small waist, then it's just going to be like a box. This is just going to come down and you really just don't get the wings coming out. And then we're going to talk about our pull day focus, some underrated tips that I think could really help you boys get it to the next level and not prone that stagnant growth. And then I finally want to break down a structure and split on how we're going to go about this, what's going to be the best for us, building that asymmetric symmetry. Of course, just honestly, having everything, not just the V taper, but everything how it folds in and comes together. Of course, the V taper is going to give us, good frameworks, going to really build our body the right way, developing these shoulders in the back. But of course, we want to make sure it's a, holistic way to getting their body. We want a sick physique, and this is exactly how I'm going to break it down for you boys. So we're going to talk about balanced muscle targeting, our training splits, which is crucial. I'm going to really break this down, and then weekly periodization, avoiding some pitfalls. So guys, these are my core 3. I've really broken down, put a lot of time to this video. So I hope you guys could walk out with like so much information and apply it to yourself that it's really going to change everything in regards to results like I've done for myself right here. So, that's it. Let's get right into it, boys. I'm super pumped, and I really, broke this down to excruciating detail. So please make sure you take some notes, you pause it, you rewatch it, whatever you have to do, because I really believe after watching this video, you're going to not only build your aesthetic physique, but you're going to stack results at such a faster speed. So let's get into it. So number 1, guys, building our frame. This is so important because I always thought, when I started my journey that like the more weight I push, the more hours I spend in the gym, the more food I eat, the results would just, it would just come naturally. And that was the furthest thing from the truth. What I really had to understand was how to frame my body the right way so I could start building that taper to understand the information skill sets and to really get, the ability to not only see a frame, but to get some confidence in myself that I know what I'm doing is right. And I hope to break this down in a little more detail so that kind of viewpoint is like a better lens moving forward. And the biggest thing I wish I can go back and fix were my shoulders. Your shoulders frame the whole body. And guys, maybe it's just me, but I hate training shoulders. It's probably the worst thing just for me. I don't know. Everyone has like muscle groups I hate. I hate shoulders, but it's so important. So I'm going to kind of give you guys a different viewpoint on how to go about it, which I really think will not only enable the V-taper and just the frame a lot quicker, but to honestly just help you see results at a faster speed. And the reason we really want to touch on this is because our delts and our rears are, the shoulder frame of how we're going to look literally fills out the t-shirts more, and your presence looks bigger essentially. Like when you have wide shoulders and your frame, it literally looks like you're bigger than you actually are, which is a really cool feeling. So I really want to touch into this point, like even at lower presence or body weight, however you want to call it. So the first, I broke this down to kind of 3 pillars for you boys. The first was just developing these wide shoulders, filling the upper chest, and then having that tight waist, which will then kind of put everything together. So first, we have to talk about the reason we need to build our shoulders. And I think the biggest misconception is a lot of people focus on their arms. But here's the thing I want you guys to look at. Like your shoulders are going to be the ability to not only frame our body, but to make sure we get that V coming out. But the thing is with arms, because I spent a lot of time training arms, is that your arms are going to be a byproduct of your compound lifts, especially some of your shoulder, lifts that we're going to break down. And your shoulder lifts really, of course, hit more muscles than just your shoulder. So, of course, when you do an incline, chest press, you're not just hitting your chest. You're hitting parts of your arm, your shoulder, your core. So this is the ability to honestly build more muscles as a byproduct once you do this. So, of course, our arms are going to be a compounding such as our byproduct once we start hitting our shoulders. And it comes naturally with consistency and nutrition. And the reason we need to focus on these wide or bolder shoulders, as everyone calls it, is that it visually comes with width and presence once we start hitting our shoulders. Because guys, our shoulders are the ability to really not only frame the body, but to make sure that we have, the lens that we're actually seeing results. And this is something that I didn't see in my journey, because I always thought when I started hitting shoulders that like, it's just like kind of like a gimmick, like whatever, like I'll hit shoulders and that's it. No. Shoulders give us the ability to literally improve not only our lifts, our physique, and essentially, the weight we actually push, but it gives us the ability to literally stack results at such a quicker speed. And when we start hitting our shoulders, our back and our chest are essentially growing as a byproduct, because not only like think about it like this, your shoulders allow you to literally expand. So like when your shoulders stick out a little more, your chest sticks out, your back sticks out. And then of course, if your waist is not, you have the correct diet and we're tightening our core, it's giving us the ability to slowly come out. And that's exactly what we're going to, strive to do. And we have to look at when we do this, of course, when we focus on the bolder shoulders, is we need to also focus on the chest. And here's exactly what I recommend that I wish I kind of knew earlier, is anywhere between 2 to 3 training sessions per week, which is essentially a mix of a training split. So I kind of want to break this down in a little more detail. I go into this in a little more, in depth down here, but I kind of just give us an overview on how we're going to go about it. So the most important thing, what we do is we have 2 to 3 training sessions per week, and it's a mix of, our split. So What I essentially mean by that is we have to make sure we're relying on both compounds and our isolations. And there's a couple of different splits we can go with. As you boys know, we can go with the PPL or an Arnold or an upper and lower body, whatever's best with you. But the most important thing about this is sustainability. What's going to be best that we can stick with long term? Because if we're doing stuff that's not sustainable, it's going to break. And when it breaks, it means like we're essentially not going to see results. We're going to get stagnant and we're going to quit. And then we kind of repeat this cycle of just, even not even being in the gym or just honestly not seeing momentum being earned. And the way we're going to go about honestly like structuring our training splits, I'm going to break that down later, but I kind of want to give you the framework and how to go about, really building this V taper and just building the aesthetic physique, which is kind of like the presence of this part right here, which is we're going to be relying on compound lifts. So overhead movements and upper chest. And we're going to be, of course, training our delts 2 to 3 times per week with different variations. So now I kind of want to break this down into a little more detail. So these are kind of the core movements I think is really important to really start building that V taper, but to also make sure that we're prioritizing our frame. So these are the 4 I really, can't stress enough because this is really helping me take my physique to the next level. Lateral raises, which is going to help build broader shoulders. Or incline bench press targets our upper chest and front delts. Overhead press builds mass and pressing strength, and a rear delts flies, which rounds out that 3D cap. If you guys are anyone like me, I like seeing visuals. So what I did is really broke this down to kind of the exercise itself. So as you guys can see right here, we have lateral raises. So you could do these standing up, sitting down, or even with a cable. It doesn't matter. Just choose the variations that's best with you. Little tip that I learned is that like when you actually do it through the cables, you actually get the full resistance of the entire stretch and not with, the dumbbells essentially, because your dumbbells in the beginning, you use momentum. So you're not really getting the full angle of it. So another good one to do this is like you take a single arm and you do the cable. That's a really good one too. So different variations. Incline bench press. Again, you could use, something like this, the Smith machine, a machine press, dumbbell, whatever's best with you. For me personally, I like using this and the Smith machine. I think it's best for me. But again, guys, make sure you do stuff that works best for you and that you stick with long term. Next, we're actually going to move into the exercise of the overhead press. You could do this standing up. You could do this sitting down with a barbell. You could do it with a machine. You can, it'll be a little tough to do it with cables. There's so many things you could do. But generally speaking, these are a good way to go about it. I think a barbell sitting down could be a really good one, especially on the Smith machine. But again, totally preference. But these are the core 4 I really want you guys or you boys to hit because it's really going to help not only build it, but to make sure everything's being structured the right way. And then the rear delts is what's going to round out our 3D cap of the shoulders itself. You have a reverse pec deck, or you can even do dumbbell sitting down. This one's a little trickier, just because the positioning and honestly the form and the technique. If you're, someone that is just wants something that's really stable and really, kind of like not really too hard to mess up, I honestly recommend with the reverse pec deck, absolute staple. So guys, these are the 4 exercises that really, help us to really structure this. And then we're going to really touch into the training split as I break this down. But as you guys can see here, we're going to be trying to hitting anything from 2 to 3 times per week of our delts with different variations, and then our compound overhead movements with our upper chest. I'm going to break down kind of the structure we go about this. But again, the ability to honestly hit these muscle groups more times per week is going to give us the ability to increase growth at a quicker rate. And especially our rear delts, like by no means am I saying you should be doing lateral raises every single day. But hypothetically, if we're doing, a training split, like a push-pull leg split, we could then maybe have, some days we're prioritizing our rear delts. Our compound lifts are prioritizing, the incline bench press and maybe an overhead press. And then these are, some isolation lifts or lateral raises and rear delts that we're mixing in more frequently in regards to our training split. So this is exactly what I mean in regards to exercise and training split. But as I mentioned, I'm kind of go into a little more detail as we progress downwards. So we touched on this, and then the tight waist. So guys, the biggest thing with building, this is what really sews everything together in regards to the physique, because if you only focus on the training and not the nutrition, it's not going to come because you can't outrun a bad diet. So the whole thing about essentially, getting the waist very tapered and very, lean is it comes down to your diet. You can, calories in, calories out, essentially. And I broke this process down. I'm going to link the video that literally goes about, creating your macros, tracking your macros, how you go about it, what's best for you. And the video in the description that's really going to kind of give you the ability to understand like where your maintenance is, how many calories should be over, what's best for me. So I'll link that video down below, because guys, if that's not done, what essentially is going to happen is you're going to get a box. Let me kind of do it like, we can do it like this. So essentially, guys, you're going to get a box that you're not going to really have, your V taper, your lats and your shoulders be sticking out. And it kind of defeats the entire purpose, because, the whole thing with the V taper is you want it to stick out. But if your diet's shit, then essentially you're going to get the box, and then you're going to get more love handles. So it's really important to make sure we're prioritizing our nutrition when we do this. Don't think that nutrition's not important. Nutrition's 80% of the work. So, of course, making sure we're consistent and the compound effect, but this just really stems from, honestly, the nutrition. And of course, working out your core movements. You could do core movements. It's honestly what's best for you. Obviously, there's certain exercises of your core that hits different parts of your abs, but I can't recommend enough that if your nutrition is not on point, the tight waist is just not happening, and this kind of system falls apart. Because again, you're only doing, it's like a tripod. If one of the legs is out, it's going to fall. It's going to break. And that's the same thing on how this system works. So again, the tight waist is really correlated to the nutrition, hitting our protein intake, making sure we're only 200 to 300 calories over if we're doing a lean bulk. If not, we're staying at maintenance, depending on where you're in your journey and what your goals are. But essentially speaking, I've been able to do a lean bulk and honestly grow my V taper. Extraordinary. And then as you guys see on the Instagram, like I'm currently on, my bulk right now to 180. And I've been seeing some unreal results, and I really break everything down on the IG, but it really just goes to show that if your diet is hammered down, you could look lean, look ripped, and still pack on muscle. You know what I mean? Like the traditional bodybuilder bulking, you don't need to do that stuff. It's all about nailing down your macros. And believe it or not, guys, I really don't hit core like at all. I mean, I do it, here and there, but generally speaking, it really comes down to my nutrition. If I did hit core, I think I'd really honestly be, it would be popping a little bit more, but I honestly don't. So it just goes to show how important these macros are. So again, if that video can literally help you in any way possible, I really would recommend watching it. So now that we broke down building our frame, I want to break down to the V taper extension. And I kind of gave us a little cool diagram on how to go about this. Was that the whole purpose or, preference of this is to make sure we're controlling our stretch, our squeeze, and it's not just pulling the weight. Because here's the thing. If we're just focused on the weight, on like how much we're pushing, or, like I'm benching 315 and our form is crap and we're just using all momentum, we're not really contracting the muscle, it's kind of like going like 2 steps forward, 4 steps back, invisibly. And you're just not going to see momentum. You're not going to see growth because you're not doing it the right way. The way we need to focus about our V taper is to make sure, it's like the second time I did this, but to make sure we're focusing on our pull when we're doing our, our strength training. Of course, we're going to have a holistic program, but if we're going to really hammer down this V taper, our pull is going to be extremely important because we'll be focusing on our back, our rear delts, and of course, parts of our shoulder. We're going to build that wide and thick ratio, our shoulder to waist ratio, as I mentioned earlier, and that's going to give us the bullseye we want. And again, guys, I have to kind of say this because our chest and abs will not pop without the proper back structure. So as you guys could see, our chest will generally get bigger, and same with our back when our shoulders are being hit the right way. And of course, our diet makes it come inwards, as you guys could see. So our waist gets thinner and our back gets wider or expands out more. So, and again, it's like, this is like a revolving system. If one system breaks, everything breaks because you're just not going to see the results. So the pull focus, I kind of broke this down into structured training, or, the way we're going to go about our central training. We broke down our compounds and isolation lifts, of course, hitting the upper chest and then really breaking down the shoulders. But now we're going to take a step further and understand how we're going to build this back. So let's actually go into the structure split for success for our pull. That's a guy, as you guys see, I have it right here. And a pull day focus. So as I mentioned, I have 2 to 3 times per week, but I took it into a little more detail now to really understand what exercise we need to be doing to actually build this. So if we're really focusing on the width and thickness as everyone wants, we need to be, of course, emphasize we're tracking on how we're going to do about, we need to be tracking our data. What's the rep? What's our sets? What's the weight we're going at? Because if we're not tracking, we're only half-assing the results. If we're half-assing the results, we're delaying our timeline, and then we're not building momentum to, what our goal is. So it's always important to make sure you're tracking your data. If you're not tracking your data, guys, it's like cutting your knees off, your feet off as you walk. You're just going to get there a lot slower. It's just going to be more grueling. It's going to be painful. It's just not going to be the right way of doing it. So please, make sure you track your data. I wasted the first 2 to 3 years of my journey, if not more, not tracking and just honestly BSing it, which only delayed my timeline. And 2 essential training splits. So guys, the whole thing with your training splits, you have to do it around your lifestyle. And if you're someone who doesn't go 5 or 6 days a week, that's perfectly fine. Then do an upper and lower body split, which is 4 days, or a full body, which is 3. Generally speaking, I'd like you to be in the gym 4 days per week, but do its best towards your lifestyle, because it's really not about the training split. Of course it is, but if you're not able to stick with it, then it's just not, you're just not going to see results. And sustainability towards your lifestyle is what we always build our workouts on, because once we do it this way, that means we're guaranteeing results because we're showing up every single day. If we don't show up, we're not going to get results, obviously. So 2 points I kind of want to touch on into a little more detail is the width and thick focus. So for our width of the back to, actually, make it look bigger, I really want you guys to structure around pull-ups, wide pull-ups, and then cable pullovers. These are going to essentially make sure we can actually, get the pop coming up right below our shoulders. And then for thickness, we're going to actually get the rows, the close grip pulls, and the shrugs. So these are going to be really awesome, because once we do it this way, it's going to allow us to really make sure that we're doing everything we can to really, pinpoint everything we need to get the whole structure in place, essentially, because we're going to have our shoulders popping out, we're going to have our lats expanding, we're going to have our waist coming in tailored, and we're going to get the thickness of the back. So it's really a complete package. And then when you look at the front of the body, it's essentially, of course you're going to be doing, push-pull legs. You're going to be hitting the parts of your chest, your shoulder, your biceps. But generally speaking, this is going to frame our body the right way. And one of the underrated tips is to stretch and squeeze, the mind-muscle connection, as we call it, because I think this is so overlooked. I think everyone focuses on the weight, on how much we're pushing, but yes, that's important, but we need to make sure we're doing the rep the right way, the muscle contraction. So again, focus on the deep lat squeeze when we're doing it, the hard contractions. And this is not just for the lat. Any exercise you do, you always want to make sure you're focusing on the exercise, because when you focus on it, you're actually feeling the tension of the muscle. You're contracting it. You really essentially feel that, that feeling when you get that mind muscle connection. You're like, oh my God, like I'm doing this a lot, pull down, my back's separating. That's what you want to feel, and that's what you want to really see, because essentially when you do that, you're actually hitting the muscle, and you're actually, breaking it apart so you can grow back bigger. Not ego lifting. Oh my God, like I see so many people doing this, and it literally just shoot yourself in the foot. It's like taking basically like you're walking, you're cutting yourself off at the feet. You're just not going to go anywhere. So please do not do that. I think it's very self-explanatory, but it's always good to hear it again, because it's just like I think people do it not only to show off, but I just feel like it provides more validation that they're getting progress, when in raw reality you're not. And it feels like the muscle's working. It just doesn't work. And again, guys, so this builds. The way we're going to go about this builds shape and not just size. So of course, when we're doing this, it's yes, you want to build size, but if our foundation's not the right way, then essentially you're not going to see the results as quick. And for me, I know my journey, if I could do it all over again, I wish I'd rather see results quicker, because then it'd motivate me a little bit more. And especially with the V taper, I think that kind of, gets the epitome of a sick aesthetic physique. So next, let's go into the wide and thick. So pull-ups and lat pull-downs in rows. So this is really going to break it down to like the whole next level. So when we're talking about this, I really broke it down to like, honestly, like the entire kind of formula on how to go about this. This really touched it, but now I kind of want to separate it into actually, a little more detail. So when we talk about, of course, our pull-ups and our lat pull-downs, this is really cool, because what I want you boys to do is to start every sesh here at different grips of attacking the lat. So generally speaking, like if you're doing your back day, you could do like your standard rows, but I generally speaking like doing pull-ups, because the thing is, when you start your workout with pull-ups, it's the best way to really get as many reps possible because you're not as depleted as in energy. And this is what I found is that like when I was able to do more pull-ups in the beginning and just start my workout with this, I was able to progress more to, weighted pull-ups and to honestly see growth a lot quicker because I was using all my energy in the beginning to do these pull-ups. And of course, pull-ups are a great compound lift, so it's a really good way to go about it. And this was another way I was able to stack momentum really quick because I wasn't doing it as, an isolation movement. I was just doing bicep curls to start with. No. The problem with that stuff is that like we're using all of our energy on stuff that's not, building growth quicker. And our pull-ups and our lat pull-downs, maybe a barbell row, whatever you guys want to do, it's fine. Just make sure you're focused on your compound lifts to start your workouts. Again, your barbell rows are going to add thickness to your mid back and your rear delts. And then staying strict. No jerking, but fulfilling the eccentric and squeeze full range of motion as I talk about that mind-muscle connection. Don't always worry about the weight, guys. The weight is not really that's important. As you progress, of course, it's going to be important, but focus on the mind-muscle connection, the technique, and make sure our foundation is right. So now I kind of broke this down to just some visuals. I love visuals because I think it really helps me. So again, we have our barbell row and a pendlay row. Honestly speaking, you could do a preference. Obviously, each one has a different, motive behind it. But if this is something you don't do and it's just, not enjoyable or just, your form's not right, please don't do it. Safety is always make sure because guys, there's nothing worse than getting injured. It sucks and it just honestly delays the timeline. So I just broke this down, just a little synopsis, and as you guys can see here, the barbell row, of course, how to build our lower lats, shape your back with steady tension, better mind muscle connection. Like for me, I like doing a dumbbell row. I just think that's better for me because I feel better mind muscle connection. Same, it's, again, different variation, but predominantly hitting the same muscle groups. And then you have a pendlay row, which provides thickness to the upper back. Again, there's so many different variations you can go about this. If this is not best for you, you could do a dumbbell. It's just, again, what's best that you feel that mind muscle connection, you really feel the growth. Next, I really want to touch down to pull-ups because, guys, I think everyone should be starting these workouts with your pull-ups. It's a great compound lift. And look at the activation of these lats. Look what actually, It's like the entire thing you want hit. And pull-ups, guys, I know like when I started, it was really hard for me to hit pull-ups. But the biggest thing with pull-ups is it's just reps. You got to build the reps. You got to build the momentum. And there's a couple grips that I really love to do. It's like the wide grip and you have the narrow grip or neutral grip, whatever. And this is like the gold standard of really building the back. Especially when you get to weighted, then it really takes the game to the next level. If you struggle anywhere from 8 to 12 reps, use an assisted machine. The dips has a assisted machine you could try to build your body weight strength up. Guys, there's no shame in doing this. Please, really focus on your pull-ups. If there's one thing you can walk away with this video, because it's really going to frame that entire back and especially that V taper. And then train close to failure or adjusted to weight. For pull-ups, I like to go close to failure. It really pushes me to like really get everything I need to honestly like get stronger. And when I found like when I was going close to failure for my body weight, pull-ups especially, it was able to help me progress more to like the weighted pull-ups, which is then like results are stacking a lot quicker. So I really suggest you try to go to failure for your pull-ups. I think it's a really good way, but always making sure you're not just doing it, as quickly as possible and that's really it. No. Try to do the mind muscle connection, go up, hold it, go slow down, and rinse and repeat, and try to work yourself up 8 to 12 reps. And then we have the lats. So guys, this is another one, but a huge problem I see that I really wanted to touch you guys. As you can see with the lat, we have the wide grip, but you see how you're not just going straight down. You want to kind of be on a slight lean with your chest pulled out. So you pull through your elbows and you have a slight bend. You see how like this is like angled? This is the biggest thing because you really feel that muscle activation. This is like, guys, you feel your back legs separating. And this is awesome because when you do this, it's all about the slow tempo of the lat work, the eccentric and the squeeze. You emphasize the full stretch at the top and squeeze at the bottom. As you can see, as you come down, we hold it, squeeze, we're slightly arched. And then, of course, this is a little technique that I've been doing. It's called the lean back pull down. So basically, as you go, you're really arching it and you're really feeling that squeeze instead of just doing this. I just want you guys to see a visual. But this is, you just don't want to be sitting straight down. You want to have the ability to pull down, to engage the lats and reduce the biceps taking over. Because, guys, that's the same thing with the dumbbells. When you have the dumbbells, you're going, slower. you're using more momentum, which then limits the amount of ability you actually hit in your shoulder compared to, a cable, a single, row on the side. That's the same thing with this. If you're going to use, like, the biggest thing is, like, when you do weight that's too heavy, or you're doing stuff that you really don't feel the muscle activation where it's supposed to be, so especially for the lats, that means another muscle's taking over for it, and you're not really hitting the muscle, which is then, kind of basically like you're just wasting time, to keep it short. So again, focus on the lean back pull down to better engage the lats and reduce the biceps taking over, so we're actually engaging our lats. And then the shoulder to waist illusion. Obviously, you want our lats flared, so make your waist looks a little smaller. But guys, this whole point is just based on the nutrition. Good nutrition keeps you lean, makes the V-taper more visible. Again, you could do core exercise that helps your waist look tight, making your upper body and your lower body, the contrast look great. But again, if you're not dialing down that nutrition, this doesn't matter, because calories in, calories out, you're going to just get that box. So again, if you're not too familiar with it, check out that video tracking your macros to if you want to be in a lean muscle build, or a slight calorie surplus. Like for me, I've been lean bulking, staying ripped, and still getting that V taper. It's possible, it works. It's just the information and skill set you need to see that lens. So make sure you check out that video if it helps. So this was kind of breaking down the V taper extension, building our frame as we talked about, which is our shoulders, our back, our upper chest. And now I really want to talk about formulating everything to our training split. So as you guys can see here, when you do everything, how everything works out, essentially, you're going to get the full physique. It's going to come together and you're going to just look like perfect. Everything's going to come. But the whole thing with this is to making sure we're training the right way and we're staying consistent. The biggest thing I, essentially struggled with on my journey was wanting fast results. Fast results do not work. The only way you get fast results is when you have the right back-end systems, the information, the skill sets. You know what to do to keep it short. And if you're going to take shortcuts only lead to instant gratification, which then essentially, guys, it breaks. Shortcuts literally means something's going to break long-term because you didn't learn how to do it. Sustainability is all that's key. And when we do it like this, when we build our frame the right way, our whole body is just going to connect, and it's just going to be like, it's just going to come together. The core comes from your nutrition. The V taper comes from our shoulder, our shoulders being hit, framing our body, doing the back exercises we talked about, and essentially staying consistent. Once we put this together, our training split is going to allow us to build momentum. And of course, the mind-muscle connection, the eccentric, all this different nuances we talked about earlier. And I wanted to break this down, nothing too complex, because I don't want to go in like extreme detail. I don't want anyone to get essentially analysis paralysis where, you're just so obsessed about the details that you don't start. No. That was my number one killer. And I want you guys just to get the frameworks and then apply imperfect action towards this stuff. And as you start to apply imperfect action, you're going to see deficiencies in some of the stuff you're struggling with. And then you can fill in those gaps and then build momentum towards it. So our training split, guys, as I mentioned, these are splits that are best fit for your lifestyle for sustainability. Of course, we have our Arnold or a push-pull leg split. This is anywhere from 5 or 6 days per week. And this gives us the ability to hit more training frequency. Upper and lower body is 4 days per week. Choose the best that works best for you guys. Like I said, sustainability is key. Once we can nail down our sustainability, then it's going to allow us to build momentum and not let us quit. Weekly periodization. So guys, basically what this is, it's basically a plan and structured workout where we have our goals in the same vertical in regards to our short-term goals. So for example, if we want to pack on 15 pounds of lean muscle, month 1 would be, pack on 5 pounds, month 2, pack on 5 pounds, month 3, pack on 5, and then it's in the same goal as 15 pounds, which is our overarching goal. And that's how we kind of stay consistent with it. And then you have short-term goals in regards to what your physique, what you want to hit. And this is kind of the best way I've been really going about, just not just saying training split, but a periodization training split where I know I have long-term goals that are aligned with my short-term goals. I have daily benchmarks, I have habits, I have routines, stuff that makes sure that I can build momentum towards each, basically indent in the journey that I kind of want to hit. And that really helped with motivation because it really just made sure I knew I was working towards. It wasn't just a North Star, but I had, standard benchmarks under that North Star. So it helped, give me those small confidence and wins. So again, weekly periodization, plan and structure workouts. We talked about structuring our compound lifts with the rows, our pull-ups, and our overhead press, our isolation work, which is our lat raises, our rear delts, some of the, the stuff we mentioned up here. these were our core, especially lateral raises. I didn't want to really go into too much detail, but generally speaking, what I really want to do is, just so it's all in one place for you guys watching this, is, I'll put it right here, is that this should kind of be your cheat sheet. If you guys want to take a screenshot, but like your planned workouts, these are a compound list. These are isolation lists. And these are, I think the only one I left out is lateral raises. But this is how we're going to structure our workout to specifically hit this V taper. But guys, do not diminish, our push, which is like our chest, shoulder, triceps. This is just understanding, having a better lens on how we're going to about structuring our training in regards to getting the V taper. But guys, it's a holistic program. Don't deplete, your standard bench press, your incline press, which is, kind of in this, our triceps, our biceps, all this different stuff. It should be weaved in. I just want to give you a better lens on how to really build that V taper and understand like what exercises really help it. And then we could fill in the blanks with the other, workouts or structures or compound lists we could throw in there. So I hope this is like a really good cheat sheet for you in regards to just like the emphasis of the V taper, and then some of the nuances in the frameworks and how we're going to go about just understanding our body, getting results, and speeding up the timeline. So we talked about weekly periodization and then the essential reminders. So I kind of want to give this like just a little reinforcement loop, is that we have to be prioritizing our lats, our upper back, our shoulders, and building a tight core, not just the chest and arms, but making sure we're hitting this as a holistic program, as I mentioned. So again, for our push, our pull, and our legs of course hit our legs and our core. Our push is our chest, shoulder, triceps, and our pull is our back and buys, but you could throw rear delts into that. And this is kind of like the really essential blueprint I've used to not only build the dream body I have, but to really unlock the taper, which really, I think, sewed my physique together and just being like aesthetic. So guys, like this stuff works. It changed my life. And I really hope that this video was really helpful for you boys, because I just wanted to kind of put everything in one spot. So I think like this was kind of like the cheat sheet. I hope that makes it a little more clear and sums everything up. And again, guys, like the biggest, this is another really point I really want to touch on, was like, as you progress, you're going to see areas that you essentially lack, or it's just like deficient. And that's completely normal, but addressing it's really important. And addressing these areas like the rear delts, like the lower and mid traps, these essentially make us avoid the front heavy look. But the thing is, as you start to see, I want you guys to be taking progress pictures. I want you guys to be tracking your weight. I want you guys to be tracking your training, your nutrition. And you're like, why the hell would I do this? It's because if we want the results, we have to do the stuff most people won't do. And that's data. Data tells us what's working. And the progress photos is going to show us like, okay, like I want to grow a bigger chest. Like for example, for me, I've been working on my lats. I want the V taper to come out. So I know exactly what I'm working towards. That's the same thing with you boys. You need to understand your lagging areas, and you're going to be working on these deficiencies. It's an ever, this journey never ends. You're always going to be improving in something. Another thing, I'm growing my legs, so it's a deficiency. I'm going to be working on it and be like, what's best for me? What data's been working? What data's been showing me to get results? I'm going to look at the pictures. I'm going to cross-reference it. And that's like, that everything, how you can unlock your dream body a lot quicker is just understanding what works for you and what's yielding you results. And again, this is just like, thick, that's been funny. That's going to bother me. Thick width, we have our lats and our delts, our rear delts. Thickness, our traps, and this is part of our back. Rhomboids, I'm not even going to pronounce that right. I don't know. My pronunciation is not the best, but you guys get the point. And then our taper is our tight core, which is tailored from our nutrition. So boys, I really hope this video was helpful. I hope this wasn't too long. I'm sorry if it ran over. I literally just wanted to give you guys everything that I hope you could build not only your dream aesthetic physique, that V taper, but to honestly just give you guys the results at a quicker speed, because these are some of the 3 non-negotiables I've done to really help build my aesthetic physique, which of course, really getting the shoulders, framing my body the right way, focusing on the upper chest, and of course the back, building the thickness, emphasizing the lats, tailoring the nutrition to make sure my core was tight, so calories in, calories out, which made the V taper kind of stick out, and essentially aligning the training split towards my lifestyle, all this different stuff. And when I was able to do this, it really just made me go from essential boy to man, and just honestly unlock results that I never thought were truly possible. So I again, guys, I hope this, you guys hear my voice. My voice is like scratchy because like I've been talking so much, but it feels like time's just flying because I love this stuff, and I really hope that you guys were able to take something away from this, apply it to your dream body, your journey, and just be 1% better like every single day. If there's any part of this video that you really liked or you really want more detail, any questions you have, make sure to leave a comment down below. It just really helps me grow this channel, help you boys, unlock your dream physique, become the best version of yourself, and to literally, just grow as a person. Like, there's no better way to win. So, again, guys, I hope this, really kind of gave you a different lens and how to go about really getting results at just a faster speed. So I love you boys. Any questions you have, make sure you leave down below, and I'll go ahead and see you in the next video on the channel.